Hello, hello, hello! Welcome to my channel. I'm Samia, your host, and welcome to this video where we are drawing the ruler of divine peace. I will be talking about the Copic markers and watercolors I'm using, as well as a little bit of where this piece came from. So when the eclipse happened a few weeks back, there was this really silly meme that let you figure out what your quote-unquote eclipse identity is based on when your birthday is, or with your year, your day, your month. So I got the ruler of divine peace, my friend got the ruler of divine revolution, and the names just sounded so cool that I thought, why not make a little mini illustration series out of them with the characters that came to mind. So this is one of them. I'm in the process of drawing my third one, and the ruler of divine revolution is actually my profile picture right now, and she's on my Instagram, and you can find my Instagram and all my social media information below if you'd like to see that. So in this video, with this piece, I'm starting with markers. I really like using markers on watercolor paper, which is what this is. It's a Strathmore 100-pound, I believe, cold press watercolor paper. And alcohol-based markers just really soak into paper like this in a really, really nice way. So I'm using a little bit of Prismacolor, but mostly Copics, and I wanted to lay down some flat colors once I decided the color palette I wanted. And I work dark to light for the most part when I'm working like this, especially in paper that soaks up the marker. And what that means is that, if you'll see it in the beginning of the video with the skin, that I put the darker tones down first and then blend them out into the paper with the lighter tones. This creates a really nice gradient and also kind of makes the Copics look a little bit more like watercolor in some ways, which is my favorite way to use them. I don't like the harsh lines of marker. One of my professors said what he disliked about Copic markers was that you struggle so much to make them not look like markers. I agree with that sentiment about why that's a problem, but I disagree that it's that difficult, because it's really just practice like anything else. I mean, we're talking about a man that inks all of his work with brushes. If you've ever inked with a brush, you know that that's not easy, but it can become easy. So with the hair, I sort of went in reverse. I put the lighter color down first and then the darker color, and then actually went in with a medium brown and tried to blend out some of the dark into the light. That's another way you can do color blending with Copic markers or any alcohol-based markers. If any of you are interested in seeing process videos about any specific technique I use, please comment below. I'm just starting out, so I really don't know what people need to see, but I do know that as an artist who uses YouTube to learn literally everything, that sometimes it's a little hard to find a technique video that works for you, even though there are so many out there. There's plenty of wonderful artists that teach all kinds of things like watercolor, Copic, sketching, digital art, but the same thing isn't going to work for everybody, and sometimes the way somebody does something just doesn't work for you. But if you see something in this video and you think I can teach it to you in a way that will work for you, I would love to know that so that I can put it on my list of videos to make next. Right now I'm kind of just recording everything I'm making in my daily life and in my classwork while I'm working on my MFA of Comics. So I'm open to suggestion. Just help me figure it out. Anyway, back to the video. I'm working on her shirt right now. I'm using a gray in some of the shadows, like a C4, which is a cool gray in the Copic marker system. And it just helps give that element of like a cooler color in the shadows. I also used a light blue just to give the stockings especially and the shirt a bit more variation, as if the shirt is a little bit shiny and also maybe a bit see-through so that it's reflecting light differently as it wraps around forms. The skirt I struggled with. I'm just not gonna, oh god, those dark shades are so bad. See, this is why I usually blend dark to light, because at least I can get rid of some of those harsh shadows, but you'll see the skirt, there's a couple things on this piece that just go through an endless evolution. So I guess a sub-theme here would be, sometimes you do a piece and you don't really know how it's going, but you keep it up because it's gonna look okay once it's all done. I'm outlining a lot of this, by the way, not in a black pen, but in a purple Fine Tech High C pen. couldn't remember it for a second. It's 0.25, so it's really, really small. I actually got this particular color at Muji, but before that I got my black Finetech pen on Amazon. I'll try and find it and link it below. I really like how the purple looks against all of the colors. I've been shying away from using black line in my marker work because I feel like it kind of weighs down the marker, unless you're going for a very cartoony, comic, super bold style, which it can still work for that. But especially with these goddesses and gods, you know, if I make some guys, I didn't want them to be weighed down like that. I want them all to be lighter. They're going to have such grand names that I kind of want them to transcend bold black outline, if that makes any sense. So, a little more about this character. Ruler of Divine Peace, the first thing that popped in my head was a hippie queen, and quite frankly, I didn't want to draw a hippie because I think that would have ended up looking tacky. I'm sure some people could do it great, I just don't know if I'm one of those people. So I tried to think a little bit around, you know, why am I thinking hippie, and that made me think of flowers and flower power, obviously, but also the idea that we need to live in harmony with nature. And so I started to think of her as maybe more of like someone who protects relationships between nature and humans. So I decided to put in some sunflowers in the background, kind of like loosely watercolored in there. You'll see me outlining them later. Because sunflowers are just so happy, I just feel like they signify sunshine, and I thought that went with kind of a more mother goddess, earth mother goddess type theme. So I use watercolor especially in the background because I just like how watercolor melts into itself, especially when you're working wet on wet. And I'll talk about this more probably in another video. I'm working on a watercolor tutorial right now that focuses a bit on skin, but we'll also talk about wet on wet. But watercolor just lets you have colors melt into each other in really smooth gradients if you let them. You also don't have to have them do that. For example, I put in the brown centers of the flowers just as watercolored circles, kind of like loosely in there throughout the background, because once the background was dry, I knew that they would hold their shape, and then I knew that I could add a little more strong yellow around them and start to make the outline of the petals and then outline the petals themselves to give it more definition. And I thought this would be a really effective way to give her an interesting background without having to draw a background, because I'm not gonna lie, I don't like drawing backgrounds. I'm just not good at them yet. I want to be good at them. They look so good in other art, but I am just not good at it yet. So it's something I'm working on for sure. Something I really want to tackle. So now we're coming to the end of this video. You see a lot of the finishing work here. I put a little bit of blush on her face. That's watercolor. That's a thin skin tone watercolor layer over the Copic markers. And then while it was still wet, I put a little bit of pink watercolor in there, and it soaked into the skin tone watercolor layer and then just expanded over her face and gave her a really nice blush. And this is something I just sort of figured out, and that, again, I'll go into more detail about in another video, but I saw so many artists do this and that no one ever explained it. Do you know how frustrating that is, to love something? Well, you probably do, you're watching this, but to love something so much and have no one explain it to you, no matter how many tutorials you go through. So I'm going to remedy that one specifically for anyone that watches my videos, because that's only fair, in my opinion. So now, here we are, we're almost at the end of this video. I'm gonna leave you guys here. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you check out more videos, and please subscribe if you don't mind. It would really help me out, and that way it'll be more obvious when I upload new videos, and you can even turn on your alerts so that you know right away the next time I make a new video. Keep an eye out for that skin tone tutorial, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!